You guys, he was legitimately trying to get back at me for what the fuck happened at the movie theater when I was in high school. Welcome back to my channel. So today is Friday. Y'all know we be turning up on Fridays. I got another story time for you guys. Much requested. You guys are gonna hear a little bit more about Daniel. You guys want to know about the time that we went out on a date while we were in college, so that's gonna be the story time today. So make sure you get your popcorn, get your wine, get all your snacks, girl, because it's about to be a juicy one. If you guys aren't aware about the Daniel story, please make sure to check out my story time playlist. I will leave it down in my description box below. I try my best to kind of keep everything like kind of flowing, all my stories making sense. There was just so many moving parts when I was younger because of all the schools that I moved to and all the shit that I was involved in, so I want to make sure that everything makes sense. So make sure you check out my storytime playlist to get caught up on everything before you check out this video, because then ain't nothing gonna make sense, okay? Okay. I got my wine. Today I'm drinking a Moscato. This is actually a gift for me from the venue that I'm looking at for my wedding. Yes, girl. I thought about showing you guys the venue like before, but I'm kind of like a surprise person and I want it to be a surprise. I have a videographer there, like a really professional one, to make sure that there's a beautiful video for you guys to see, and you guys will be able to see my beautiful venue that I just picked out. But yes, this is compliments of my wonderful venue because the girls get married. As usual, today's glamour shot of the day is my beautiful glamazon, Miss Mel. Mel, you look absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much for being one of my gorgeous, amazing glamazons. You guys know that I would not be here without you. I could not do this without you, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys so much for all of your love and support. Now let's get into the video. This story, of course, has Heather in it because Heather is in like a lot of my crazy ass stories because she was my best friend for like the longest period of time. This takes place when I was in college and I was going to school with Heather, as most of you guys know. One day, I had met Heather on campus as per usual, and we had stopped at a Starbucks. There's a Starbucks on campus. We stopped there. We get discounted coffee because we were students. So we got our coffee, and then we went into the Tivoli, and the Tivoli is where like all the lunch area is, arcade games, the school shop, all of that shit, right? Heather told me that one of her professors was going to be giving her notes that she needed for like a test or an exam that she was going to be having the next week, and that she was going to go to his class really fast, go pick up the notes, and then come right back. So she was like gonna peace out for like 10 minutes and go across campus and go pick up those papers and then come back, right? So I was like, yeah, girl, I'll just stay here. I remember it was like really cold outside, so I was like, I am not trying to walk. I'll just stay here and I'll wait, and you know, I'll be right here. So I picked out a table and I'm sitting there by myself, and I don't even know what the fuck I was doing, but I was doing something, and I heard somebody call my name. And we will call him, what dude name have I not used yet? We'll call him Kyle. I used Kyle before? I don't know if I've used Kyle before, but we're gonna use Kyle, okay? School that I was at where I met Alicia, you guys know like the shitty high school? Okay, I had gone to high school with Kyle there. So he like knew me back my freshman, sophomore year, right? He was like, Nikki? And I was like, oh fuck, Kyle, hey, what's up? You know, I give him a hug and I'm like, hey, how have you been? Like, it's been years. He's like, hey, you know, and we start catching up, right? We're catching up and he's like, hey, are you hungry? And I was like, yeah, you know, I could eat. I pack up some of my stuff while we're talking. We're like having a conversation. And like I'm packing up all of my stuff, and I text Heather and I was like, hey, I just ran into my friend Kyle. I'm gonna go out into the lunch area and you just meet me there, okay? If you get lost, call me. And so she texted me back, she was like, okay, cool. So I leave the arcade and I go into the main lunchroom with Kyle. And so he and I are just shooting the shit. We're talking, we're catching up. We're like reminiscing on all the stupid shit we used to do in high school and like everything like that, right? Got into the Burger King line. Now, it's so funny because I can't stand Burger King now, but like back then I used to eat anything. So we were in line for Burger King and he was behind me, right? So we're talking or whatever, and I turned around because it was about to be my turn to get up to the counter for the Burger King, right? So I turned around, I'm looking at the menu, and like we stopped talking for like a split second because like I'm trying to focus, like what the fuck do I want? I'm like second in line, and then the person in front of me leaves and it's my turn to order, right? So I go up and I'm not even paying attention anymore at this point because I'm ordering with the girl that works at the Burger King, right? I can hear somebody come up to Kyle behind me, and it was a dude, and he was like, hey man, like what's up? what are you doing here? Blah, 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 long time no see, right? So I start hearing Kyle talk to some other dude. Now, I didn't turn around because I'm still ordering my food, right? So I can hear some other guy talking to Kyle. I finish ordering, I give her my money, and she gives me the little receipt, and I have to step off to the side so that I can wait for my order, right? And I look to see who he was talking to, and it was Daniel. Dun dun! There he was all of a sudden after all these years, and like how everything ended, and like holy shit, like all of my memories started flooding back, and I'm like looking at him, you guys, like I had just seen a ghost. I was like, oh shit. So I was like, oh my god, either this is gonna be really fucking awkward or like it's gonna go really well. Like one of the two. Like there's no in between. Oh my god, what the fuck is gonna happen? So he sees me, and I shit you guys not, you guys, like we sat there for like a good 5-10 seconds just staring at each other. We couldn't even believe that we were in each other's presence, and like it was, I had not seen his ass on campus ever. Like we did not have any mutual friends. This was the first time that we were coming into contact since that night at the movies where he tried to get me to bail on the guy that I was there with and go to the movies with him last minute. You guys remember that? Okay. He broke the silence and he was like, Nikki, hey. And like you could tell that he was like trying to fill me out, like, are you pissed? Do you not want to talk to me? It doesn't fucking matter. We're in college now. Like I can't stand that. I can't stand when people take shit that happened in high school and carry that shit into college, and like it's just ridiculous petty bullshit. I have to tell you about this girl that was like shading the fuck out of me because we didn't like each other when we were sophomores, when we were 15 years old, and I run into her when I was 22, and this bitch still had a fucking problem on campus. Still, like you're still mad. Like what my 15-year-old ass did or said, you're still mad about that in your grown ass life right now. Like bitches like that, I'm just like, why are you still mad? We were in high school, like whatever. We were not in a relationship. Like did it hurt? Did it suck? Yeah, but like I said, we were not like in a real relationship, you know what I'm saying? We need not bring our high school drama here. Like let's have a new start. Let's not have a bunch of drama and let's just like move on, right? So I was like, hey, now that I was in front of him, you guys, legit, like I didn't even know how to act. Like I was like, okay, just act normal. But I could feel myself still acting the way that I used to when I was younger. So I was like, girl, you better get your grown ass together. You are grown, okay? Keep in mind, me, Daniel, and Kyle all went to the shitty school together. I did not realize that Kyle knew Daniel. I had no fucking clue. Kyle was my age. Kyle was in my grade. I had like 2 classes with Kyle back in the day, and I had no clue that they were like homeboys. So I was like, oh my god, like I didn't know y'all were friends. And so they started telling me how they met back in school, and like Kyle was like, yeah, you know, this has always been my dude. So after seeing Daniel, I'm not gonna lie, it was like really awkward, and like I was trying not to make it awkward, and I was like trying to work overtime to make sure that it wasn't awkward, but it was still kind of awkward, girl. So I was just like, okay, I feel really nervous, like what the fuck, I don't even know what to say. Like what do you say? Like, hey, what have you been up to? Like, you know, there's like this big elephant in the room, do you want to talk about it? Like I don't know. So Kyle ends up getting his order in and then comes and stands next to me, and then I didn't realize that Daniel was also getting lunch there. So I just thought that he was coming up to say, hey, what's up to Kyle. But this boy was actually in line because he was getting his lunch. We all get our food, and Kyle invites Daniel to come sit down with us, okay? So we go find a table, we all go sit down, and you guys, like I'm in like the most awkward position right now. I started out this morning just fine, and now here I am sitting at this table with this dude that I used to semi-date back in the day. We didn't really end off well, and now, dun dun, we're having lunch together. Like it's really fucking weird, okay? You guys, Heather didn't know of Daniel because I met Heather at a completely different high school. I'm texting Heather to like give her a heads up, hey, when you get into the lunchroom, please understand that I'm sitting at this table with these 2 boys. Heather did not know either one of them, and I just didn't want her to walk in and be like, the fuck? Girl, I will explain it to you as soon as you get here. I get off my phone and I look at Kyle and I'm like, hey, my best friend is coming. She just had to pick up some notes from her professor. She's gonna be here in a few. So he's like, oh, that's cool. And he was like, you know, asking me, where did you move to, like after you left our school? So I was like telling him all that, and I was like, you know, this is where I met my friend from. She's my best friend, blah, blah, blah. I'm like looking this way and I'm telling Kyle all of this. and I'm trying to like not make it awkward, so like every few seconds I would look at Daniel to like kind of involve him in the situation, like, oh, you know, that's where I met her, and then I'd look right back at Kyle, right? You guys, I glanced over there and this boy was staring at me like just fucking. So it like made me feel weird, and I'm like, what? Like, why are you looking at me like that? Like, what? I don't know where he stands as far as his feelings towards me because of the way that we ended things. And if you guys remember, he was very hurt with me because he felt like I chose another dude over him back in high school, right? Also, I was really fucking confused. Like, why are you here when you had a scholarship for Arizona State? Like, I was just like really caught off guard. This boy, I didn't expect to ever see Daniel again in my life. Like, he was about to move to a different state and go on with his life, you know what I'm saying? So now, like, I was really confused, like, why are you here? Finally, I see Heather walking through the door, and like, I feel this rush of relief, and I'm like, okay, my girl's here, everything's gonna be fine, like, it's great, it's fine. She like scans the room, and she looks at me, and she sees both of the boys, and she looks at me like, bitch, really? Like, she comes, and she sits next to me, and she puts down her backpack, and she like, is like, hey girl, sorry, it took a little longer than expected. And I was like, oh no, don't even worry about it. I was like, hey, I want to introduce you to some of my friends. When I said that, you guys, Daniel for real said, like, he like cleared his throat all obnoxious the minute I called him my friend. And I was like, so I look over at Daniel like, you okay? Like, you need some water? Like, the fuck? Yeah, I'm her friend. And I was like, oh, excuse me, sir. I have not seen you in like fucking years, okay? Kyle, this is my best friend Heather, and Heather, this is my friend Daniel from high school. And again, Daniel just kind of, like, when I said that, Daniel just literally like looked at me like, really, bitch? Like, I was just your friend from high school? And what the fuck else am I supposed to call him, you guys? He wasn't my boyfriend. We were not together. He made that shit clear. We did not have a relationship. We did not technically break up. Y'all already know the story. So how the fuck am I supposed to introduce you? Like, why are you getting all butthurt about everything that I say? So I looked at Heather and I was like, girl, I said, we talked for a minute. I said, but he was never my boyfriend. Bam, bitch! What you got to say about that? What smart ass comment are you gonna say about that? Because you were not my boyfriend. You never were. You were a friend, like I said. So don't get that shit twisted. Now, at this point, you guys, we're like sitting here jabbing at each other across the table because he wants to get smart. And he's getting mad that I'm introducing him as my friend from high school because you were my friend from high school. Heather's just sitting there like, okay, like, all right, like, why are you getting so hyped, girl? And I was just like, Heather wasn't hungry. She had already eaten, so like, she was like picking off of my fries, and we start talking, right? And Kyle ends up saving the day and changing the subject to this huge project that he has due for his like lit class. About 15 minutes pass, and we've already been talking. Heather thinks that Kyle is hilarious, which he was, and we start talking about like tuition, how much fucking money this school is costing us, and like, we're just like complaining students, okay? We really are. So finally, Heather texts me and she was like, I'm ready to go. So I was like, okay, hey, we're gonna go, like, we have classes, blah, 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 right? End up to say our goodbyes. I give Kyle a hug, and then I look over at Daniel. We have the table in between us. I didn't know what was appropriate. Do I hug him? Like, I don't know. So I was like, it was so nice seeing you. Tell me why I fucking did this stupid wave. I'm all like, you know, it was really good seeing you guys, and, you know, we'll see you guys later. So when I said that, he was like, oh, don't worry. He was like, I'll see you around. I'll talk to you later. And I was like, okay. So when he said that, like, my heart started fluttering because it was like, you guys, it was like blast from the past. It was like I was in the Twilight Zone, you guys, and like we were right back where we were when we were in high school, because he used to flirt with me and be fucking with my emotions like that back when I was in high school. So I was like, why? What are you doing? There was a big parking garage that was like west of the campus. So we were gonna leave the building and go to the parking garage because Heather parked over there, right? We start leaving and we're like walking through the building and we're walking side by side, and Heather, like, she for real, like within 5 seconds, she was like, you have some explaining to do. Like, who is that dude? Why was he being all weird? Like, I seen it, I saw it, like, I noticed how he was talking to you and like looking at you. She was like, so spill it, right? Started telling her the whole story, right? And I was like, you know, this is when we met and blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm literally in the middle of our story. All of a sudden, I hear Nikki, I hear my name from behind me. So I turn around. Daniel is like just smoothly walking down the hallway right towards me. So I had a lanyard, you guys, and it had my school ID on it. I see him and he's walking towards me, and in his left hand, he has my lanyard. And I was like, oh, fuck. So I looked at Heather and I was like, girl, can you give me a few minutes? I'll meet you at the car. And she said, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm sure. I need to figure this out, okay? He walks off. I start walking towards Daniel. And you guys, this very moment when like we were walking towards each other, I swear on everything, it was like fucking memories just coming back of like all of the time that we spent back in high school, and like all of the times that he would like walk me to my classes. And like now here we are like fucking 4 years later, and like I couldn't even believe that he was there. I never thought that I would see him again, and it was just like such a surreal thing. It was like I was in a dream, okay? I walk towards him and I meet him halfway, and he hands me my lanyard and he was like, where'd your friend go? And I said, I told her I'd meet her outside. And he goes, oh, okay. After him asking me a few questions, I looked at him and I was like, Daniel, what are you doing here? And he looked at me and he was like, oh, you know, I'd rather not talk about it right now. He was like, it's a long story. And I was like, did you lose your scholarship? In a way, yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? And like that was shocking to me, you guys, because remember I told you that back in high school he was all about his business, okay? After that whole thing happened with his first love, he didn't date nobody. He was all about football and about his academics. And so for him to tell me that he sort of kind of lost his scholarship, I was like, the fuck? Like, what do you mean you almost lost? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you lost your scholarship? And I almost got, like, I got mad. Like, I genuinely felt the feelings of anger. Like, how the fuck could you lose your scholarship that you worked so hard for? You guys, I used to help him study. I used to have flashcards, and like, I knew how much this meant to him. So for him to tell me kind of sort of lost his scholarship, I was like, what do you mean? Finally, he starts talking about our past and where shit ended. And he was like, you know, I know that shit didn't really end well with us in high school. He was like, but he's like, I would really love to like catch up and see what's going on with you. He was like, you know, that was then and that was the past. And, you know, I'm so glad to see you. And I'd really like to like take you out to dinner or something. And maybe we can catch up and I can tell you everything that happened. He was like, because it really is a long story. I was like, yeah, I was like, I can do dinner. So I agreed to do dinner. So we decided that we were gonna do dinner on that coming Friday night, right? This is how crazy this shit was. That morning, I was fine. I thought I was gonna hang out with my best friend. And now here we are fucking 3 hours later. And now I'm having a date with Daniel. Like, what the fuck? He puts his number in my phone, and then I get a text from Heather and she was like, girl, come on. So I was like, okay, I really have to go. My friend is waiting for me. I'll see you on Friday. A few days passed, and I say like 2 days later, I got a text from Daniel. And it was like the day before our date, and he texted me and said, hey, are you ready for our date tomorrow? And I texted him back and I was like, yeah. Do you know where you want to go eat yet? And he was like, no. He was like, you know, I don't even know what's downtown. You can pick if you want. So we're like having like this generic, like trying to pick the restaurant kind of conversation, right? And it was like, you guys, it was like we had traveled back in fucking time. Like we were all over each other's phones. So Friday comes around and it's the night of our date, and I'm really nervous. And like, I'm trying to figure out what to wear. I don't want to seem too desperate. I don't even know if this is like a date. So we came up with a time and a place to meet at the 16th Street Mall. You guys know that them was my stomping grounds. I was over there all the fucking time. And so I walk over to the 16th Street Mall and I go into the restaurant and he's not there yet. And immediately I'm like, oh my God, this fucker is gonna stand me up and like have his last laugh. I was like, God damn it, because he wasn't there yet, you guys. And I was like 5 minutes late. Like not too late, but I was late. So the fact that he wasn't there yet made me very nervous. The hostess sits me down at the table and she was like, you know, when are you expecting your guest? And I was like, he should be here any minute. And I like felt really embarrassed because like I'd never been to a restaurant before the dude, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, where the fuck is he? Another 5 minutes passed, and then 10 minutes passed, and I legit was like, I'm not about to sit here and look stupid. I cannot believe that I fell for this again. I can't, like, what the fuck, man? Like, what the fuck was I thinking? I'm not gonna sit here and wait. Like, this is stupid. So I go to get up, And I look up, and here comes Daniel coming into the room. He sits down across from me and starts his whole spiel. He couldn't find parking, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, he's late. And I'm just sitting here like, your ass is lucky I didn't leave. Like, you could have texted me, like, I look stupid as fuck up in here. He starts playing with me about that, and immediately shit goes back to normal, right? We start talking. Long story short, his mom ended up getting really sick, and he kept having to fly back and forth from Arizona to Denver because she kept having surgeries. And because of that, it affected his credits, it affected his grades, and he just found it best to just give up his scholarship at Arizona State and to come back home because his mom was still really sick. So then he flips the tables and asks me about myself. He wanted to know where I went after the shitty school and what I've been doing, what have I been up to, and I told him everything. I told him, you know, I ended up going to 2 more schools after that. I ended up getting with my ex who was a fuckboy, and I asked him about his ex. I forgot what I named her in that video, but I was like, what happened, like, between you and her? Like I suspected, they ended up getting back together after all that happened between he and I. She got pregnant, and she had a miscarriage at like 3 months. And they had already planned to like move in together and have a family. And then when they found out they had a miscarriage, it made them fight a lot, and they ended up breaking up, which was terrible. It's a fucking terrible story. You know, it's like it just wasn't in the cards for she and I to be together. Like, every time we try to be together, it just never works. He was like, and we were just fighting and fighting, so, you know, I ended up ending it. We talked so long that I looked up. We had been at that restaurant for 3 hours. 3 hours. And it was like we didn't even skip a beat, like, at all. Like, it was like I had known him my whole life. So it was just so normal, and it was like we were back in high school. So we had dinner, and I ended up wrapping it up. I had plans with my mom, like, later on that night. So I was like, I gotta go, like, you know, my mom's expecting me, and you do not play with Mama Glamour, okay? Asked me if I would like to go to a movie. And I said, yeah, you know, I'd love to go to a movie. So we ended up deciding to go to the movies on a Monday night because we just didn't give a fuck. And he told me to meet him at the Pavilions over on the 16th Street Mall, and then he would meet me at the theater, right? So I had to like take a minute before I get to this next part in the story because it always makes me like a little sad. I get all excited, I get ready, and I'm supposed to meet him at the theater at 7. I got there a little earlier than expected because it was just like a walk over to the Pavilions, and I didn't realize that I was gonna get there that quick, but I was there within 5 minutes. I ended up getting to the theater about 15 minutes early, and I don't know if I was just like really excited or what, but like I was just like trying to hurry up and get there, you know? So I got to the theater, and the way it's set up is when you walk in, there are 2 box offices that you get your tickets at, also some little benches in the lobby that you can wait, you know, for anybody that needs to show up and get the ticket, you know. The doors into the actual theater are glass, so I can see right through them, right? And I can see people that are at the concession stand and shit. I thought about texting Daniel, but I didn't want to seem like I was like really desperate, you know, and be like, oh my God, I'm 15 minutes early, like, where are you at, you know? So I didn't text him, I didn't say anything, and I was like, I'm just gonna wait. I was just gonna wait, and then when he gets here, I'll lie and say that I just got here, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, you guys, what it was. It wasn't a noise. I don't know. It just so happened to work out this way. But I looked up and I looked towards like inside of the doors leading into the actual movie theater, and I see Daniel. He was with another girl, and they were walking out. So they were coming towards me, okay? And I'm trying to like process everything that I'm seeing, and I'm like, that can't be Daniel. That ain't Daniel. That's fucking Daniel. Because if I could get away with him not noticing that I'm here yet, then he won't win. So I was like, I'm just gonna be quiet. I'm gonna keep my head down, and hopefully he passes right by me. I see their shoes, and I see him stop right in front of me. It's obvious that he sees me. And I finally look up at him, and I'm like, okay. This boy decided to act all brand new, and he looked at me and he said, Nikki, oh my God, what are you doing here? The whole time he's holding her by the waist. You guys, he was legitimately trying to get back at me for what the fuck happened at the movie theater when I was in high school. Okay, all right, you wanna play? You wanna fucking sit up here and play and try to embarrass me in front of this bitch right here? Okay, I got something for your ass. All right. Oh my God, Daniel, how are you? How have you been? So I start like fucking playing along with him, and I was just like, you are not the only one that can act on a drop of a hat, bitch. It got really awkward, and he was like, yeah. And he was like looking at me, and he was like, who are you here with? I stood up and I was like, oh, actually, I'm meeting Heather here. I was like, you remember Heather? You met her the other day. I was like, you know, right before we had our dinner at the restaurant. What was that, on Friday, right? And he was like, yeah, that's right. I was like, that was a great restaurant, by the way. I was like, but hey, I can't stay long. I said, I'm gonna go meet Heather. She's on the first floor. She doesn't realize that the theater is up here. Like, I hope you guys have a fantastic night. And I looked at him like, so I start walking out, and I was like, I'm not about to let him or her see that they got the best of me. I don't know if she knows what's going on, probably not, but I'm definitely not gonna give him that feeling of gratitude like he fucking did it, like he embarrassed the shit out of me and like he actually fucking did it. I start walking, and the way that the pavilions are set up, it's like 3 different floors, and so you gotta find the nearest escalator to go down and then down again. Does that make sense? All of a sudden I hear footsteps running towards me. I turn around and it's Daniel, and he's not with her no more. He left her inside of the theater lobby. I literally looked at him, you guys, and I started clapping. I genuinely did, with my smart ass. I looked at him and I was like, you feel better after all this fucking time? I said, do you feel better? I said, I hope that maybe your ego isn't so fucking bruised about what happened 4 years ago. I said, Daniel, you're a fucked up person. I was like, you're a shitty fucking person. I'm sorry. He was like, I just had to like give you a taste of your own medicine. I was like, what? What fucking medicine are you talking about? I said, us having a good time in high school, and because our age and the differences of where we are in life was what brought us apart, now it's my fucking fault? I said, I did not go to the movies with you that day. I went with another dude after you and I already had a conversation about how shit can work. I said, so how fucking could you just set me up to try to embarrass me in front of that bitch? Like, I didn't hurt you like that. I said, you want to sit up here and act like you're the fucking victim? Fine, Daniel. I'm the bad person. I broke your heart and a relationship that we never had. Why would you even talk to me if you knew that you still felt pissed at me? Why? I was like, I did not talk to you. You talked to me. I'm thankful that shit never worked out between us. I said, because I dodged a fucking crazy ass bullet with you. I said, fuck you. Don't call me and do not text me. I'm done. Peaced the fuck out. I stormed off. I thought that this man was like the nicest person you'd ever meet. Honestly, I really did. But the level of pettiness he was willing to dip to was fucking crazy. Like, I couldn't even believe it. I blocked his phone number off of my phone, and I never heard from Daniel again. So yeah, that is a story about Daniel. I know that so many of you guys were like fans of Daniel, which was like really hard for me. Like, it was really funny to see, like, leading up to how we ended. Like, a lot of you guys are like, oh my God, he's so sweet. Yeah, girl, I thought so too. I thought so too. You were fooled right along with me, okay? That is my story about Daniel and the last time that I talked to him. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give me a huge thumbs up. It really helps me out a lot. Also, don't forget to hit that huge subscribe button. I love growing my Glamazon family, and you guys will be notified of every single one of my videos, especially story times here on my channel every single Friday. Thank you guys so much for all of your love and support. I would not be able to do this without you guys. Let me know your thoughts down below, what you think about this entire fuckery, okay? Also, don't forget to follow me on all of my social media, including my Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook page. I will leave all of that down in the description box as well. Thank you guys so much for checking out my video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.